I'm going to take the New York Knicks versus the Oklahoma City Thunder, and I'm going to crown Oklahoma as the new NBA champion. And if they do go ahead and win it, I will officially be applying to take over Woj's job and become the new NBA insider.
Is there anything that man can't do? I ask you. Paolo Graziano, your reaction?
I mean, that's why he is who he is, man. Like, that's it. Like, he's months ahead of the rest of us, as usual.
Adam Schefter, maybe it could still happen. We'll see. The Knicks need 2 more wins for that to come entirely true, but it's not impossible. Okay, let me get back to the NFL here. Earlier in the show, we did an NFC edition of Are You Convinced? Let's look at a couple of AFC storylines this morning. Mike T, you're my general manager. Are you convinced Shedeur Sanders will start for the Browns this season?
Yes, from snap one, day one, he absolutely should start for a number of reasons. He should compete with Dillon Gabriel. I think he's a better player. Candidly, I don't think it's that close. And at the end of the year, the Cleveland Browns need to know what they have in Shedeur Sanders, because they're going to have a top 5 pick. They have Jacksonville's first-round pick. If Jacksonville struggles, which I think they will, there's, as you know, Greeny, loaded quarterbacks in 2026. They need to know what their quarterback in the future looks like. Joe Flacco is a great backup, and at some point, trade Kenny Pickett.
Graz, what would Cleveland's ideal quarterback scenario be?
I think it'd be to be able to pick whoever they want in next year's draft. I mean, look, like Shedeur Sanders was picked 2 rounds after Dillon Gabriel. He's 4th on their depth chart right now. I'm not saying it's impossible for him to move up and get some starts, but I don't think the Browns are looking at it right now on May 31st the way that Mike T says. I think, first of all, they're going to try and win games. If Joe Flacco or Kenny Pickett gives them the best chance to win week 1, I think that's who will start. But they like Dillon Gabriel 2 rounds more than they like Shedeur Sanders. I would think he's got a chance to get the first look if they're trying to figure out rookies that they need to learn things about this season.
Mike T, just quickly, what he's saying makes sense. I get it. I was there. I saw them draft Dillon Gabriel ahead of Shedeur Sanders, quite literally, and all I do is aggregate information before the draft. I had never seen anyone project that. Not one evaluator had projected Dillon Gabriel to go ahead of Shedeur Sanders, which is why I remain so puzzled by the way that broke down. Give me your sense. If this season doesn't start out looking like they're going to be a contender, which it doesn't, then it doesn't figure that it makes sense that they play Joe Flacco a whole lot this year. He's 40 years old. So I like your scenario there, Mike T.
Yeah, and what Graz is saying is very logical, which is Dillon Gabriel's a 3rd rounder, and he should be the priority. But look, when you put the pieces together, clearly Dillon Gabriel impressed Cleveland in the pre-draft process, and I'm sure they thought there's no way Shedeur Sanders is going to be part of the mix for us once they decide not to take him in the 1st round. So I think that was an opportunistic pick by the Browns. But look, if you go by what you see once they start playing, and as Hembo reminded me, Shedeur Sanders led the nation in completion percentage. He's a more talented quarterback, in my opinion, and I think others. He's going to have to prove it on the field. But I think if it was a fair fight on the field, I think Shedeur beats out Dillon Gabriel. And again, Joe Flacco is going to be 40 years old. He's your perfect backup bridge quarterback. Go see what Shedeur has, then you can plan your future.
All right, that's what I expect as well, but of course there are a million different ways that could go. Let me go to the AFC West. The Chiefs have won that division for 9 straight seasons. Graziano, are you convinced they make it 10?
I'm not, but Greeny, you got to understand, convinced is the wrong word for me on May 31st. Like, I'm not convinced of any of this stuff. But I will say this, I think it's going to be a tougher race in the AFC West for the Chiefs than they have had in more than half a decade. The Denver Broncos are a playoff team last year that in the first game at Arrowhead that they played, they were a blocked field goal away from beating the Chiefs. They have improved significantly on defense. Their quarterback is heading into his 2nd year. The Los Angeles Chargers, coached by Jim Harbaugh, had a great first year. They should be even better. I think those are 2 teams in the Chiefs division that are set up to give them a stronger push than they've gotten from anybody in quite a while.
I agree, and for what it's worth, the Raiders tend to play them tough, and I think they're going to get better with their new coach and situation there as well. Mike T, how about it?
Yeah, I disagree. Look, I think what Graz said, those teams are improved, but when Patrick Mahomes is protected, and it's either going to be Jaylen Brown or more likely Josh Simmons if he's healthy, Patrick Mahomes had a lot of issues with protection last year. If that's cleaned up with Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown and Rashid Rice pending suspension, this offense could get back to being the explosive offense we've seen Patrick Mahomes had a couple years ago. So I'll take Mahomes and a great offensive line, and I'll give you the rest of the division.
Okay, fair enough. Then, Mike T, let me give you one more. Josh Allen and the Bills came up one game short, as they so frequently seem to, last year. They are favored on ESPN Bet in every one of their games this season. Are you convinced they're the best team in the AFC right now?
No, but boy, it's close. I'm going to go with the Chiefs, but it's by a whisker. This team got a lot better, like you said, the offseason. Hopefully they get something out of Joey Bosa, TJ Sanders, a good second-round pick. They brought back Tre'Davious White, drafted Max Hairston. So I think the Bills are better, Greedy. I just can't go against Patrick Mahomes with a good offensive line. I could see an AFC title game probably back in Kansas City with these two teams.
Dan?
Yeah, I mean, look, you could make a case that heading into that game last year, the AFC Championship, hey, the Bills are the better team. That doesn't mean they're going to beat the Chiefs head-to-head in a playoff game. We've seen it time and again. I think the Bills are a candidate for this. I think the Baltimore Ravens are a strong candidate for this, and obviously you can't rule out the Chiefs. But Buffalo is set up, man. Their schedule is soft. They leave their time zone exactly once all regular season. If Buffalo doesn't have the 1 seed going into the playoffs, I think they'd be a little disappointed.
Yeah, I agree. I think everything, it's sort of starting to feel like an if not now, then when situation for Josh Allen, who will be 29 years old. Let me get Joe Fortenbaugh into the conversation here. What is your best bet looking big picture at the AFC?
It's almost like we produced this segment. Bills, 7-1. I think that's the best bet. I saw them at plus 550. You give me 7-1, I'm going to make the play. It feels like it's their year. You guys just touched on it. Number one, the schedule. Second easiest in the NFL. How often does a team with a 13-4 record that went to the AFC Championship game get the second easiest schedule in the NFL? Greeny, all due respect, you know the division's not going to offer any resistance whatsoever. So worst case, they're hosting a playoff game in the opening round. But the key to this entire analysis, Kansas City's no longer gatekeeping the AFC. Very few people will agree with that. You heard everything from Tannenbaum, you heard everything from Graz. The one thing you didn't hear, 17 straight wins in one-score games, 12-0 last year. That's going to fall off, and when it does, they won't be in the way of the Bills. This is the year they get it done.
I agree with the pick, and I find it hilarious that you feel the need to add the, with all due respect, based upon my fandom of the Jets, as though somehow that's a personal insult to me that the Jets will not put up a fight in the division.
Xin chào các bạn đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình ngày hôm nay. Mình được với các bạn là rất ghê.
Lúc có hương cho cái gì nào vậy? Lúc có hương nhảy nhót này.
Có hứng hả nào? Vui á.
Nhảy nhót.
Đấy, suốt ngày nhảy đấy, có thấy bây giờ thì vừa đâu. Nè ơi, Thành ơi, chị Thành ơi. Tao không dám ngồi thế này Thành ạ. Tao ngồi khép cái chân tao vào cơ.
Được cái gì vậy?
Không, ta vẫn đang có khán giả cho nên là sang anh ta đuổi về, ít nói lắm. Nó thì đau chân thế, nó cố tình nó đi làm, sáng nay nó lết đến công ty thì
Không nghe mình nữa.
tao phải đặt báo thức 5 giờ dậy. Tại vì tối hôm qua nó bảo là để sáng dậy xem có đỡ không thì
Nếu không là ba ở đâu này này chạy cướp.
không biết, lúc đấy là đá bóng người ra người mà. Không, tao còn phải đặt báo thức để tao dậy, tao xem cái loại chó đấy nó đi làm sớm cho nên mình phải đặt báo thức để xem nó dậy nó bảo gì mình.
Nhưng mà công nhận không biết là không phải cái điều đó nó nhìn là thế nào mà có nghĩ là em qua tới đó đúng đấy là cái tiểu mà nhìn từ cái người luôn thế là nghĩ nghe là rất là
Bảo chó tên đấy.
coi này nhìn người vừa này nhìn đánh cao hơn.
Có khi anh giới nó còn tao nói thật.
Chưa đi hai ngoài những nhỏ là chưa nhìn được.
Chưa. Lần này chị rằng là chị không có ý định bỏ.
Tình yêu là gì á? Tình yêu là cái.
Nhưng mà sớm muộn thì cũng phải bỏ. Mồm chị bảo sớm muộn thì cũng phải bỏ là do bố mẹ chị, chứ không phải là do chị.
Tại sao mà chị chọn bạn chị đừng chọn thế nào?
Lúc đấy chị không biết là người anh ra ngoài luôn thế đâu.
Để bạn mình đỡ tuổi chân là mình phải ôm hai luôn.
Chị không biết là người anh ra ngoài luôn thế. Đấy, bọn chị nhóm có 4 đứa thì có con đấy vừa chia tay người yêu ở xóm này. Còn 3 đứa
thân đấy. Chị này, con đấy này.
Còn 3 đứa còn lại vẫn đang có người yêu ở xóm này.
Ủa, sao bạn rất chỉ 5 tuổi à?
Còn 3 đứa còn lại biết à? Cả chị là 3.
Con đấy, con nào nữa? Dương.
Thì Dương với lại con Lý. Với chị là hiện tại Thì Dương, Lý với chị hiện tại là có người yêu ở xóm mới. Chuyên vừa chia tay ở xóm mới.
Chưa nhìn Lý không?
Mày không biết Lý đâu, Lý nó ít nói chẳng gì.
Đi còn quay chân.
Quay chân đây. Quay chân không thuộc là câu này.
Quay chân là chị chơi sẵn sàng.
Quay chân cũng bạn thân. Nhưng mà thân của cấp 3.
Chị là thân của cấp 2.
Đúng.
Cấp 1. Thế là cấp 2 luôn.
Bọn chị học với nhau từ bé mà. Nhưng mà lớn như này mới thân. Không phải là thân từ, chứ không phải là thân từ cấp 2 đâu.
Thân ở cấp 2 có một cấp 2 nhẹ bỏ. Rồi, ăn không nói từ đây đấy. Thì cái nào đi. Nó bảo mẹ đặt từ đấy. Nó bảo là mình chín trước này. Cái này nó bảo là mình chín trước này. Nó bảo là mình chơi chín trước.
Hết len rồi. Bạn chị Lan Anh bên này để em đặt len cho chị Lan Anh luôn. Đang hòa luôn. Tí về chị phải xem nhà chị còn mấy cuộn. Chị đây là chị còn đem mấy cuộn nhà chị ra rồi mà. Không nghĩ hết đâu rồi. Thôi chị phải bảo chị Lan Anh. Sau tí về chị xem nhà chị còn mấy cuộn chị đem hết ra. Nhưng mà sợ chị tối nay chị học lịch sử. Sắp đến. Không biết đâu. Biết đâu. Biết chị ngồi đây học từ nãy giờ không? Vợ chị đây.